Welcome to Beyond the Veil, where we dive deep into paranormal phenomena, ghostly encounters, and unexplained mysteries. I'm Jenna. I decided to create this podcast because I've been interested in the paranormal for as long as I can remember. I had my first encounter when I was roughly 10 years old. I was in my room and it was midday, the curtains were drawn, the sunlight was streaming in, and all of a sudden this black mass appeared and crossed my window. And it was so dark and so dense that it completely blocked out the sunlight. It went from midday bright to midnight on a new moon. That's how dark it became. And as quickly as it appeared, it dissipated. And ever since then, I've been extremely intrigued by the paranormal. And I've had many experiences since then. Maybe in one of these future episodes, I'll share some of my own experiences with the paranormal. But for today, for my first episode, I really want to talk about a place close to home, a location labeled as one of the 10 most haunted places in the country, the Lemp Mansion, steeped in tragedy, mystery, and alleged paranormal activity, has made a popular destination for ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts with its tragic history and many reports of paranormal activity. The Lemp family history is extremely fascinating and a little bizarre. And I guess we need to go back to the beginning, to the very start. So, it all began with Johann Adam Lemp arriving in St. Louis from Germany in 1838. He started a small grocery store selling the usual things, groceries, household items, as well as his homemade beer. His light golden lager was drastically different from the darker brews around at the time, though, and became quite popular. It was so popular, in fact, that in the next 2 years, he was able to give up the grocery store and build a small brewery in 1840. Lemp sold his first beer in the pub attached to the brewery, introducing St. Louis to its first lager. By 1850, Lemp's Western Brewing Company was one of the largest in the city, and in 1858, the beer won first place at the annual St. Louis Fair. Adam Lemp died a millionaire on August 25, 1862, and his son William took over the business and began expanding the brewery to meet demand. By 1864, the new plant was completed. By the 1870s, the Lemp family controlled the St. Louis beer market and had gained immense wealth and power. In 1876, William Lemp purchased a house only a short distance away from the brewery, which had been built nearly a decade earlier by his father-in-law. He used it as a residence for his family, but also an office for the brewery. Though it was already quite massive and beautiful, he began renovating and expanding immediately, including building a tunnel from the mansion to the brewery through the caves that lie beneath, as well as converting parts of the cave to an underground oasis, including a natural auditorium, a theater, and eventually a pool and a bowling alley. By the 1890s, the Lemp family's brewing company became a national presence after introducing Falstaff beer and became the first brewer to establish coast-to-coast distribution, as well as helped Pabst, Anheuser, and Busch get started. Amid the success, however, the family experienced its first of many tragedies. Frederick Lemp, William Sr.'s favorite son and heir, died in 1901 at the age of 28 due to heart failure. William Sr. was devastated and began a slow withdrawal. He was rarely ever seen publicly after his son's death. And within a few short years, he also lost his close friend, Frederick Pabst, who died in 1904. William became withdrawn, and his physical as well as mental health began to decline. And sadly, on February 13, 1904, he shot himself in the head with a .38 caliber Smith & Wesson in his bedroom. In November that same year, his son William Jr. took over the business. Inheriting the family business and vast fortune, William and his wife Lillian began to spend the inheritance. Lillian, a beautiful woman who also came from a wealthy family herself, married William Lemp Jr. in 1899, and William J. Lemp III was born on September 26, 1900. Will enjoyed showing off his trophy wife until he didn't. He was used to doing and acting as he pleased, and he was known as being a bit of a player, and soon his actions caught up with him as he had a son with a woman other than his wife. There is no official documentation that the boy ever existed. However, the rumors that the boy were hidden in the mansion for his entire life have been prevalent over the years. And according to St. Louis historian Joe Gibbons, when he interviewed a former nanny and chauffeur who worked at the mansion, they in fact did verify that the boy existed and was housed in the attic quarters where the servants resided. Spawned from Will's relations with either one of the many prostitutes or mansion servant, the boy was born with Down syndrome and was perceived as a total embarrassment to the family, so he was hidden away to cloak the Lemp's shame. William Jr. tired of his wife and filed for divorce in 1908. While she didn't take action first, it really is a sign of the times. With the divorce, Will's troubles only just begun. In 1906, 9 large breweries in St. Louis are combined to form the Independent Brewers Company, creating immense competition that the brewery itself had never faced. The brewery's fortunes were continually declining, and by World War I, the brewery was barely limping along. Then the Prohibition came in 1919. William hoped Congress would repeal Prohibition, but finally gave up and closed the Lemp plant down without notice. Soon after, tragedy struck again, with the second suicide in the family. On March 20th, 1920, Elsa Lemp, the wealthiest heiress in St. Louis at the time, and William's sister, shot herself in her bedroom. Elsa was said to have been distraught over her rocky marriage and divorce. Soon after, William began liquidating the plant's assets and auctioning the buildings. After the end of the Lemp Brewery dynasty, William Jr. slipped into a deep depression. Acting much like his father had, he became increasingly erratic, shunning public life. And on December 29, 1922, William shot himself in the heart with a .38 caliber revolver in his office, in the very same building where his father had died 18 years before. So with William Jr. gone, it seemed that the Lemp Empire had finally ended. Yet another tragedy occurred in 1943 when William Lemp III died of a heart attack at the age of 42. William Jr.'s brother, Charles, eventually remodeled the mansion back into a residence and lived there with his brother William's illegitimate child. The illegitimate child, who I couldn't find a name for at this time, died in his 30s. Sadly, Charles became the 4th member of the family to commit suicide. First, he shot his beloved Doberman Pinscher in the mansion's basement. Then, climbing the staircase to his room on the 2nd floor, he shot himself. Charles was discovered by one of his staff on May 10, 1949, still holding a .38 caliber Army Colt revolver in his right hand. Of all the Lemps, Edwin Lemp, William Jr.'s brother, who had long avoided the life that had turned so tragic for the rest of his family, remained. Edwin lived quietly and secluded and died from natural causes at age 90 in 1970. His last wishes to his butler were to burn all the paintings that Lemps had collected throughout his life, as well as all the other priceless Lemp family documents and artifacts. The Lemp line died out with him, and the family's resting place can be found in Bellefontaine Cemetery in St. Louis. After the death of Charles, the mansion was sold and turned into a boarding house. The building began to deteriorate, and the haunting tales began. Residents complained of ghostly knocks and footsteps being heard throughout the house. As the story spread, tenants were hard to find, and so the boarding house continued to decline. However, in 1975, the old mansion was bought by Dick Pointer and his family. They began renovating immediately, turning it into a restaurant and inn. Workers within the house often told stories of apparitions, strange noises, vanishing tools, and a feeling of being watched. Frightened by the hauntings, many would leave the job site and never return. Since the restaurant opened, staff members have reported several strange experiences. Experiences range from apparitions appearing and then quickly vanishing, voices and sounds coming from nowhere, glasses lifting off the bar and flying through the air by themselves. Doors are said to lock and unlock on their own accord, lights inexplicably turn off and on their own free will, and the piano often plays when no one is near. It is said that the mansion is haunted by several Lemp family members. There are 3 areas of the old mansion that host the most activity: the stairway, the attic, and what the staff refers to as the gates of hell in the basement, where there used to be an entrance to the caves running below the mansion. The attic is said to be haunted by William Jr.'s illegitimate son, referred to only as Monkey Face Boy. Strange occurrences are often witnessed on this 3rd floor of the mansion. The face of the boy has been seen many times peeking from the small windows of the mansion. Ghost investigators have often left toys in the middle of his room, and upon returning the next day have found them in other locations. Many women have reported a man peeking over the stalls in the downstairs bathroom. On one such occasion, a woman emerged from the bathroom, returned to the bar, and told the 2 men she was with, "I hope you got an eyeful." However, the 2 men quickly denied ever leaving the bar, which the bartender verified. The ghost is said to be the womanizing William Jr. In William Sr.'s room, guests have reported sounds of someone running up the stairs and kicking at the door. When William killed himself, William Jr. was known to have run up the stairs and kicked the door in to get to his father. The mansion has been featured in several magazine articles and newspapers, attracting ghost hunters from around the world. It has been on several TV shows, including Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. Lemp Mansion's historical significance goes far beyond its alleged hauntings. The mansion has been recognized for its architectural and historical value, with a listing on the National Register of Historical Places and recognized as a city landmark. It serves as a reminder of St. Louis's industrial past and how successive businesses like the Lemp Brewery shaped the city's growth and development. Today, it features a bed and breakfast with rooms restored to period style, a restaurant featuring fine dining, and a mystery dinner theater. And there you have it, a tale of rags to riches to ruin. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll be posting an episode every Friday. Until then, stay spooky.